Welcome to Moms of Men. I can't even tell you how excited I am that I actually have my men here with me. I've got my youngest son, Arden. Want to wave? Yep. There you go. Arden, Addison, Alec, who was spanked the most, and Austin. So we've got all of my boys, and we think this is to be a great opportunity. I've already been really open with you guys that I did not do everything perfectly, not even everything well, but I want you to hear from their perspective, not just my perspective. So they're all alive, they're all healthy, they have all of their limbs and fingers and toes, and so this is going to be enlightening for everyone. We want you to hear from the boys' perspective, and we've just opened it up that they can be vulnerable and they can be honest. So we're going to go for this. So one of the topics we're going to cover is, and anybody that wants to can go first, is, so what would you guys say to a mom out there that is a single mom maybe, and she's raising sons, or a mom that's just feeling overwhelmed? Maybe she's got one son and she has a bunch of daughters, or she's feeling insecure. What would be a source of encouragement that you would give her?
Well, I'll say something like, and just what I've learned growing up is when we were young, I never got the sense that you were drowning. And I know that it's seriously,
So glad.
and I know you talked about it and stuff like that, how every day you felt overwhelmed, but as your son and probably all of us, we never had that impression that like, oh my gosh, our mom is losing it, or oh my gosh, our mom's about to flip, or anything like that. I never had that impression.
Well, I'm so thankful about that.
Yeah, so I would love to just encourage moms, like the sons don't always perceive all the emotions that you are feeling, but you're doing the best you can, and know that, and your sons aren't picking up on all those cues. So literally, they're not being as hard on yourself, on you as you may be being on yourself. And so I just want to encourage you with that. And I thought you did a great job, Mom. And so, and I know you felt like there were moments where you didn't feel like you did a great job. And so I just want to encourage the moms right off the bat with that. So.
Maybe as the oldest, I got a less filtered view, but I do feel like there were a few times. All joking aside, the thing that really stood out to me is that you didn't put up some kind of facade. And when you were going through things, you processed those in a healthy way most of the time with me.
Yeah, sometimes over-processing.
Maybe sometimes it was a little too much, but I love that you were real, and you showed us that sometimes life is messy. Sometimes it's hard, and that's okay. That doesn't mean you quit. It doesn't mean you take a step out. It just means you persevere.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I mean, just on that, sometimes life's messy, sometimes life's hard. Yeah. Just another thing, just to speak out to the moms, is just that really, you're kind of seeing the end result. That, I mean, four good-looking guys sitting around a table. I mean,
how does good-looking have anything to do
at least
with how she raised
we're
us?
not good-looking.
You just wanted to work that into the conversation at some point.
Four self-confident men. Anyways, around a table. No.
He's also going to mention soon that he's
Time
single.
Time out. Hang on. Nope. Nope. All right. So, anyways, all right. So, but what I'm trying to say with that is, a lot of people, they're kind of seeing the end result. Yeah. But then knowing that really there was a lot of mess along the way. That, like, yeah, I mean, there were some times, that we got in huge arguments and things weren't like the prettiest thing that maybe sometimes could see, but we knew how to fight well. And we knew how to discipline kids well. I mean, I'm not saying that I disciplined kids.
Who did you discipline?
You guys knew how to discipline kids. You knew how to discipline.
I think what you're saying is it's not about perfection. It's about creating a safe environment.
Yeah.
And growing up, we all felt like we were safe.
Yeah.
It wasn't always perfect, but it was safe.
You were fed.
We were fed. Sometimes we were locked in the backyard and we drank out of a hose when it got hot out.
That was important.
That was more so Dad, though. That's a different story. And it was a fenced-in yard. There were no safety concerns.
And I think for the single moms is for them understanding, like, they don't have to do it alone. Like, they have people in their lives, they have mothers that they can go to and fathers that are father figures, and they don't need to feel like, hey, because I'm a parent and these are my kids, I know what I need to be doing. It's like, no, they can go, they can ask for help, they can figure out, hey, how do I do this? How do I handle this? I know for you, Mom, there was times where you had to go and call people.
I called Dr. Behringer.
Like, what in the world do I do?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would agree with what Arden said. Like, oftentimes, even I'm late 20s, when someone comes to me who's younger than me asking for advice, I take it as a compliment, and I take it very seriously. And so even with these moms, I would reach out to older women, like, and they'd be surprised how willing other people are to help out. And so,
And they're looking for opportunities to help out. We deprive other people those opportunities who might not be in a season where they're able to lend that kind of gift,
And they feel
want to lend
valued.
it. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and I know for me, when younger people ask me for advice, it's a chance to redeem the mistakes I made. I'm like, oh, good. Listen, this is what I did that I wish I wouldn't have done, and this is what I didn't do that, and just kind of give them those opportunities. And again, what would you say? Of all like favorite childhood memories.
Yeah.
So like what kind of stands out? Like I love that you guys remember having a backyard fenced in, but like what were some of your fun things that you remember?
You were really intentional to have us eat together.
Yeah.
And so we had a lot of conversations around the table every night. It was dinner time with the family. And that fostered an environment in our family where we would talk about things that maybe other families are able to avoid because they don't find themselves in that situation where they're sitting down around a table for 30 minutes needing to have conversation.
And you guys have really fostered that with your family.
We have, not as well as you guys did,
Your
to be
kids are
honest with
young.
you, but that's partly because it turns into an explosion of food when we sit at the formal dining table, but yes.
Actually, on that, one of my favorite memories is extending past the family dinners was even conversations that you'd have sometimes at night in your bathroom.
Yeah.
That just sometimes at night we would go into the bathroom with you and you're getting ready for bed and we would just talk to you about the day and we'd unpack something and then you would just really share stuff with us and it just felt really amazing because then those conversations really got to go deep and it felt like then we were going deep. And I absolutely love those conversations. So,
Yeah, and I think those things, having the family dinner and those conversations, even though you guys were gone so much, it was like, it really made us feel like we were never really, like we knew each other so well.
Yeah.
And it was not like we were far apart. And it was like, I know for me, I remember I was like, I miss my parents, but I also don't. And I think like that was God blessing us because we were so close and so tight from those families, like dinners and conversations that we were like, no matter how far away they are, we still feel like we're connected. We're one, and I think it was because of that.
And I want to hear from Austin, but I just want to highlight this. So, really what you guys are saying isn't something out of the normal. Everybody eats.
No, yeah.
Everybody eats. And so just being intentional, it's not just because we're Italian, but being intentional about making sure life happens around the table is huge. And,
Absolutely.
and so I love that created conversations so that you guys had strong connections. So when your dad and I were gone, you guys were so strong connected. So
yeah, but not only that, and I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but like you would sometimes share with us things that happen on the road with you.
Absolutely.
And you'd be like, hey, this happened. What do you think about the situation? And then that kind of let us feel like more mature to actually be able to share something. And then we would be like, well, Mom, this is going on at school right now. And like, what do you think I should do? Like, I think I should do this, but what do you think? And then you'd be like, I think that you're looking at this a good way, but have you thought about this? And it just, those conversations, like, as Arden was saying, it made us feel like you guys were there, just the whole time. So I'm sorry, I just had a button with that.
And I'll add on to what Arden said. A question I got a lot when I was a kid was, is it hard for you to have your parents or your dad gone so much? And like the standard answer I give them, because I love simplifying things and just standard answers, I would say, no, it's actually not hard. When they're gone, they're gone. When they're home, and they give us their full attention. And so I would just encourage like moms that have to work, moms that have to be away during the day sometimes to know that they can still have that quality time with their kids. When they're home, be home with their kids. When they're away, be away. And then I'll give a quick 30,000 foot view of childhood. But for us, it was like we did family dinners, but really we'd go to school, we came home, did our homework. You made sure we did our homework first before we could go out and play. And then literally we would just go out and play. And then you'd call us back for dinner. But and I remember on weekends we'd be gone out of the house for most of the day, and I think that was really healthy. There were other kids in our neighborhood that we played with and stuff like that, and so I think it takes a lot of pressure off the mom too to be entertaining their kids all day long. And I that scares me sometimes when a mom feels like she has to entertain her boys nonstop. And so I know when I have kids, I'm gonna be go outside, be a boy, do your thing. And so I loved that. I loved that I had a childhood where I could go out and hang out with my friends and then come back home and you teach me during that time and stuff like that. So.
And that was why we sunk a trampoline in our backyard, because we wanted you guys to have a place where you could go, just take the steam off of the day, be outside. And we did. We had great neighborhood dynamics where you guys had friends that were able to be, go to their house. They were close enough proximity-wise that you could spend time with them. So, what were some of the things that we could have done better? Because every mother does go to bed every night. No, with me. Okay, but no. Every mom goes to bed with a list.
Yeah.
She does, and I appreciate that Austin said that he didn't sense that I was overwhelmed. And I can pick up one thing that I would just say to moms already that I know that I could have done better. And you and I've actually discussed this, but Addison actually alluded to it. Sometimes when John was gone, I would process things with Addison as my oldest son. That was me trying to process things that possibly I would have been better processed with somebody else, because it made him have a hard time with that. And so if you're out there, don't put emotional pressure on your son to process certain things, even if he was around it, because then it feels like he has to choose between your husband and you, or he's upset with your husband for something, and you don't want to do that.
Or he loses respect for you.
Loses respect for both of us, usually, and they lose respect for the mom. And I think there was a season that Addison and I had a little bit of tension with that, and I don't want to see you guys do that. And so again, what Arden said and what Addison said, there's somebody out there. You just have to look for the right person, and sometimes in that moment, you don't think there's a person. Just go ahead, sleep on it, and find that person. Ask the Holy Spirit to show you who that person is. God will bring you somebody. Yeah. So just on the table, what are some of the things that and we can pick on mom. John's not here. John's not here.
Well, Alec?
Yeah, Alec, you're first.
There's definitely some topical stuff, like later on whenever we talk about the sexual purity things, there's a few things that I think maybe could have been done a little better there.
Come on.
That was your dad.
But
That was your dad.
yeah, no, we'll talk about that later. But I think that, there's definitely areas that maybe you and Dad messed up on, but that's something that I really felt like we were really good as a family. We were good at arguing and getting it out. And then we were okay, like everything was done. Like, I don't think that you were afraid of having us around a table right now at all, because we all have had our issues, but we dealt with them in the past. If we had something that was big, we were like, all right, we're dealing with this today. Or if it wasn't that night because it was too late and emotions were just too high, it was dealt with within like the next 24 hours.
And I remember we asked you guys, when we did the marriage thing, we said, what were some of the things we could have done better? And you guys said, we totally understood you guys fighting, but you said you didn't like it when you felt like I wasn't listening to your dad. Like, when I wasn't listening.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
That is true.
And when you guys would fight in front of us.
And when we fought in front of you, we had to make up
really
in front of you.
intense.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So so that was something that.
And that was something that you did great.
guys
That
did.
if it was a huge argument.
Yeah.
I mean, because seriously, don't think that John and Lisa have never argued.
We don't do everything. We don't do anything small.
very passionate.
Yeah.
Very passionate.
I mean, they're passionate on the road. You guys see that if you've ever seen them on the road. So that's pretty. It could get passionate, But no, then there was that, just forgiveness though, and like, wait a minute, this is wrong. We need to go and talk this over with the kids, and we need to make this right.
Yeah, Mom, I could, of course, I could make a list of things like, hey, you did this wrong, or you might have this one time, or you did that wrong this other time. But no, here's the thing though. Every single person's list looks different. We all have those lists,
Yeah,
every
sure.
single one of us, and we have to come to terms with those lists. And the thing that really stood out to me about you and Dad is you guys would come to us and apologize as parents, and that was huge.
A lot. But
A lot. You guys would come to us, and I learned because of you. I learned humility, and I learned what it is to apologize. And actually, after I got married, my wife, it was about a year into our marriage, she's like, for the last year, I've thought you've been disingenuous because you're so quick to apologize after we get into fights. I was like, no, this is just what was modeled for me and my family. Like, when you do something wrong, you take ownership of it, regardless of your position in the family, you take ownership of it. So I really don't think it matters so much like what you do wrong, because we all do things wrong. What matters is how you respond when you do that wrong thing.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to bring up anything?
I'll bring up something if you want. I just need to get this off my chest. I think something that would have helped me is, and you guys did this a lot, but sometimes you might have missed it, is explaining the why. And so I know something for me when I was a kid, I hated reading. and I hated most everything to do with Christianity. I know that probably sounds terrible. I'd be like, I don't want to go to heaven, and I don't want to go to hell. I don't want to make a choice.
Angels.
I don't like angels. I don't like anything.
We were like, does he need deliverance?
And Dad, just the way he went about it, is he loves the Word of God, and so he's like, hey, have him read the Word of God until he loves it as well, which eventually happened. But like knowing earlier on, like why we're having you read the Bible so much, or just stuff like that, it would have helped out a ton. And then another thing that I think is great to do is to be careful not to do generalizations or stereotypes, like you're always this, you're always that.
Always and never.
Right. And so I remember one time when Dad was bringing me correction, he did one of those like generic, like you're so this type thing, and it hurt a lot. And later on, I was just like, I went to him and talked to him about it, but I know he didn't view me like that, but in that moment, that's how he's viewing me. And so I think that's just super
Don't
good.
label your kids.
Don't label your kids. Address that one instance, even if they have this long pattern of you've been doing this for a while. Just continue to keep addressing that moment rather than this is who you are type thing.
And that's a really great place to close with, because moms keep lists. And they're usually harder on themselves than they are with their kids. And so that always and never ends up being things that the moms say, I never get it right, I always mess up, I'm always tired, I always didn't do this. You need to cancel the always and nevers on each other, and you need to cancel them on yourself. So my boys are a lot more merciful on me than I've even been on myself. And so I hope you've picked up a couple of things. Be a quick repenter. Don't take it into tomorrow. Don't beat yourself up. Don't say, oh man, because you're going to react from that place. Do meals together. It's important. It's really important. They say it's the number one thing that adds value to kids is doing meals with their mother, their father, because your dad was not home for a lot of the meals. So you just have to be really clear. There was some months when John was only home for 3 days a month. And in ministry terms, that was bragging rights, but now he would look back and say, I wish I would have been home more. So, if you make mistakes, calm down, own them, say you're sorry. You're going to model something for your kids more than trying to act like you're perfect. So forgive yourself, forgive your kids, and let childhood be fun. And it needs to be fun for you too as a mom. And you're probably doing better than you know. So let's end with that.